What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and welcome to another episode of our First Down Training show. Today, we're going to be talking about the average 40 times for football players based on your position. So we're going to be breaking down ages from like 6th grade all the way to seniors in high school, talking about the average 40 time, and then at the end, we're going to go over 3 tips to help you get faster in case your 40 time is not up to these average standards. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's get started. Now, fellas, like I've said before, you shouldn't be super concerned with the exact number of your 40 time. The 40 time is immensely technical. There are a lot of coaches that make a pretty good living teaching guys how to run the 40, how to go through certain combine drills like before the draft to help them shave like, certain time, like I guess you could say numbers, seconds, milliseconds off of their time because it's very technical and there's a strategy to it, right? So if you've never been coached in the 40, you might be making some mistakes that might make you appear slower than what you actually are. But what we're going to be going over today is just kind of a good gauge of where maybe your speed should be as an athlete in like 7th, 8th, and in high school. Now, what I want to get across to you too as well, you want to be more concerned with game speed. The 3 tips that we're going to give you to help you get faster is going to be how you can improve your game speed. College coaches, like anybody, literally anybody, could put on Twitter in their Twitter bio, I run a 4.40. But like a college coach sees that and it means absolutely zero to him because he didn't see you run the 40. Was it hand time? Was it lasered? What they're going to do is they're going to look at your film and they're going to evaluate your film and see, okay, he's got the speed to be a college level player. I remember speaking with a college coach and asked him like how he evaluates speed, right? And he was talking a lot of crap on the 40-yard dash. And he was saying he would watch players run in a game. And if 2 strides covered 5 yards, that's a fast player. But if the guy was taking like 3 steps to cover 5 yards, they'd be like, he's not quite like D1 level speed because there's a D1 level coach. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. But we're going to go over these times just to give you guys a good gauge of where you maybe should be if you've ran a 40 and if you're average based on some of the athletes at your position across the country, because that's where we get all this information from, you guys. So let's start with the quarterback position. Can you be slow and play quarterback? Absolutely, man. There's pocket passers for a reason and there's dual threats for a reason, right? This is what I would deem like kind of a dual threat or somewhere right in the middle. Nowadays, quarterbacks who are dual threats are a major asset because of the way offenses are going, right? Certain offenses love to do the zone read. They love to boot the quarterback out of the pocket a little bit. You got to be somewhat of an athlete. You look at the best guys in the NFL, they all have some type of athleticism these days because defensive linemen are getting faster. Maybe defensive linemen are just getting better, so they're having to buy some time and escape. You guys, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, all those guys can run around a little bit. Even guys like, like Justin Herbert, he can run even a little bit. So you got to have some type of athleticism, but it's not the most important thing in the world, right? So I would say for a 7th grade QB, from like a 5.4, 40-yard dash is pretty good. 8th grade, 5.2. And then if you're a freshman, I would say like a 5 flat is pretty good. If you're like a dual threat guy. Now, varsity level players, like anywhere from like 4.7 or below, I think that's pretty dang good for a varsity level player at the quarterback position. Okay, now, let's talk about receivers and DBs. This is where speed gets a little bit more important. I think listen, if you have dreams and aspirations of playing college football and you're a receiver and a DB, your speed is very important. I get it. Some of you may genetically not be the fastest or the best athletes, but you're a really good receiver. You have good route running, you have good catching. What's the clip that went viral of Justin Jefferson talking about you don't remember the fastest Hall of Famer, but I'm gonna tell you this right now, all those guys are freaking fast. They ain't running 5.2s and in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? Again, I get his point. Receiver is more about can you get separation, can you make a catch, and can you make something happen? That's absolutely true, but you're going up against DBs who are insanely freaking fast. So the receiver position, speed's important. And same thing, DBs, you're going up against receivers who are insanely fast and you are playing backwards. So you got to have some type of speed, right? So this is more important than at least the quarterback position. But what I would say is if you're like a 7th grader, 5.3 40 is pretty good. 8th grader, a 5 flat 40 is pretty dang good. And a freshman, if you're running like a 4.8, you're blazing as a freshman. That's at least from my opinion. From all the freshman receivers I've seen, not many of them are running under a 5 flat. But a fast one is, so I would say 4.8. Then if you're a varsity level guy, if you're a 4.6 or below, that's moving and that's pretty good. Okay, so now, before we get to running backs all the way down to D-line and talk about how you can get faster, fellas, if you're not at these averages, if you're a QB or receiver watching this and you would like to train with myself and my staff of coaches this offseason, we're going to be coming out to 15 different cities across the entire country for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps this year, fellas. So guys, if you want to sign up, go to that very first link in the description below. That's where all the information is. We're going to be coming out next to San Francisco, California, Orlando, Florida, Phoenix, Arizona, Columbia, South Carolina, Seattle, Washington, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Nashville, Tennessee, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Austin, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Denver, Colorado. Then after that, we'll be coming out to Columbus, Ohio, Boston, Massachusetts, Salt Lake City, Utah, and finishing it off in Los Angeles, California, guys. So fellas, local to one of those cities, we'd love to have you out to a camp. 2 days of training, 4 hours each day, and it's a small group environment. We don't run the camps where we have like 40 people sitting in a line and it's just long and it's just as many reps as we can because we have limited time. We limit spots, so all these camps will sell out. We have available spots, guys, but very soon here, these camps are going to start selling out, and then we're going to have to add people to a wait list. So guys, take advantage of the fact that we have open spots. Very first link in that description below. We would absolutely love to see you there. Okay, so now let's talk about running back. So I would say 7th grade running back, a 5'4" 40-yard dash is pretty good. 8th grade running back, probably like a 5'2", and then for a freshman running back, I would say probably like a 4'9". Okay, so that's like moving pretty good. Then if you're like a varsity level guy, I would say a 4'7" or below. That's pretty dang good for a running back. Numbers are very similar to receivers, I would say, just like running backs generally have more size on them. But running back, you're obviously running the ball every play, so speed definitely helps. Are there power backs? Yes. That's why the numbers are a little bit higher than what I would say for receivers. Receivers are generally like pure speed guys, unless you're a possession receiver, but even then you still need some type of speed. But running backs, like generally, like you can get away with being a power back, but you got to have some type of speed, okay? Now let's talk about linebackers. So I would say 7th grade, 5'6", probably pretty good 40. 8th grade, 5'3". 9th grade, 5'1", and if you're a 4'9" or below as a varsity guy, that's pretty solid for the linebacker position, right? Is speed everything at the linebacker position? No. I think a 40-yard dash isn't as important as a pro shuttle for a linebacker, you know, like a 5'10", 5", because that kind of, I guess, works more like lateral, maybe not lateral change of direction, but change of direction, which is important as a linebacker, just like how it's important as a running back and too as a wide receiver. Those are both very important, I guess you could say like combine drills, if you will, but I would say that one's 5'10", 5 is probably a little bit more important than your 40-yard dash as a linebacker because it's rare as a linebacker that you're running 40 yards dead sprint. You're generally coming down, lateral change of direction to make a play, running in coverage, whatever it is, okay? Now let's talk about tight ends. It's pretty much the exact, here's the difference though. Tight ends are much bigger than linebackers, have a little bit more weight, maybe the same weight as linebackers, but generally on the bigger side of things. But the 40 stats are probably around the same. Like 5'6" is a 7th grader, 5'3" is an 8th grader, 5'1" is a freshman in high school, and then anything from like a 4'9" or below on varsity is pretty dang good. But I'm going to tell you this right now. I said this in our episode yesterday. Tight ends are some of the most like just freak athlete talented dudes on the field because they're tall as hell, they weigh a lot, they can run routes, and they got speed, right? So if you're looking at like a Division I level tight end, guys like dudes who are playing at Ohio State or like Iowa, or because Iowa always has a tradition of good tight ends, that's why I say that, but like they're running like 4.7s or below, you know what I mean? Like they're freak athletes, man. So if you're a tight end, that's your 40 time, that's good. If you're not there yet, like I said, we're gonna talk about ways that you could get faster. Now let's talk about O-line. Wouldn't worry about it. That's just, I mean, honestly, like, it's just like, as an O-lineman, your 40 time doesn't really matter. Your 5-yard get-off matters. That definitely matters. Same with defensive line. Your get-off, defensive line 40 is a little more important. We'll talk about that in a second. But, like, your 5-yard split is a lot more important than your 40-yard dash. When's a lineman running 40 yards? You're a pulling guard, maybe, but you're going to have some contact, so it's not the most important thing. If you're a lineman, wouldn't worry too much about your 40 time. Again, I don't think all of you should worry too much about your 40 time. Worry about game speed. Now, listen, the thing I'm going to be honest with you about is like, I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably heard a lot of coaches recommend going to college camps. Some of you have probably been invited to college camps or whatever it is, right? And the 40 can help you stand out in that environment. Like if you're an unknown player, you think you could play in college and you have a blazing 40 time, you go to a camp and you blow everybody away, that could get a lot of eyeballs on you and open up some doors for you, right? So the 40 can be important. I'm not saying to completely neglect it, but it's more about game speed, guys. Because like even if you clock a 4.4, but you have no film to back it up, they're not going to offer you guys. They might be interested, but they're going to be like, hey, you need some film. So game speed film, or game film speed, is what we should be shooting for, okay? Now let's talk D-line. Then we'll get into some 3 ways that you could get faster, and then we're gonna answer some questions that you guys left on a previous episode of this show. So guys, just hang tight. We love doing the Q&A with you guys, so fellas, if you have questions, don't hesitate. Post those in the comment section below. I'll respond to literally every single question, and then the best ones we will feature on the next episode of our show. If we feel like it could give everybody watching some value, so guys, don't hesitate. Post your questions in the comment section below. We'll get to those in a second. So D-line, I'd say 7th grade is a 5'8". Not crazy fast, but fast for D lineman. 8th grade, probably 5'5". Freshman in high school, like a 5'3". Like, a reason why it's a little high for freshmen and for like varsity level players, if you're clocking a 5'2" or below, look at the guys at the combine. A great gauge is the NFL combine. You got some D linemen running like 4.5s, you guys, which is, as a quarterback guy and receiver guy, offensive guy, like that's very scary, because that guy's moving like a receiver and he's 270 pounds and he's 6'5". Like, that's freaking terrifying, right? So the 40 can be important, especially the D lineman. If you have a good 40 time, man, like that opens a lot of doors for you from a recruiting perspective and from a scouting perspective, okay? So that's what I would say. Now, let's get into some things that'll help you get faster. These are 3 things that I love to tell athletes to do, because I know most of you won't do it, but I think some of you will do it, and it will really help your game improve. There's the thing about speed training, it's all about consistency. It's like anything in life, right? Like, if you want to get bigger in the gym, you lifting for a month ain't gonna do it. You got to go 2, 3, 4, 5 months before you start seeing like, okay, that's noticeable progress. You're gonna make progress every week, but like noticeable progress, it requires consistency. And all these things I'm about to tell you require a lot of consistency. So number 1 is your running form. Whether you're running track, whether you get a dedicated speed coach, you watch some videos on YouTube and you're like, okay, I need to improve this. These are some drills to improve that. Your running form is essential. So many athletes have weak ankles and weak feet, so they run flat-footed. You could get rid of that by doing a lot of drills consistently to put you on the ball of your foot, like a straight-legged run, certain foot strike drills. Do a lot of that to help you, okay? So running mechanics is essential, because so many of you have bad running form, right? Your hip mobility. A lot of guys have very stiff hips. They're not flexible. They can't drive their knees. They can't get their strides up, so they're slower. So you work on that. You work on your mobility. You work on strengthening your hip flexors. All that's important. Your arm swings. A lot of you guys do this, or flatten at the elbow. You're not going to be fast like that, you guys. So working on those things and being consistent with it will help you be a faster athlete on film, which is the goal. Number 2, any type of resistance training. So running with a sled, running with a parachute, running uphill, running up stadium stairs, those things, guys, like, it will get you immensely faster. I remember twice a week, I think 3 times a week, I was doing resistance training. I'd go run stadium stairs. So I'd do probably 12 to 18 sprints up stadium stairs, and then I would do probably 10 sprints with a sled. So I'd go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday would be my speed training split. If I could do it all over again, I probably wouldn't do them 3 days in a row. But again, that's a mistake that I made. You don't want to overtrain like anything. That would be like training arms 3 days in a row. At a certain point, you would do too much for it rather than, like the right amount. It's called overtraining, right? And I think a lot of people use that as an excuse not to work hard. I want to make that clear. But I would say that's generally what you can do to get faster. Then last but not least, explosive movements in the gym. As athletes, we have 2 types of muscle fibers. Well, technically 3, but 2 main types. You have fast twitch fibers and slow twitch fibers. Fast twitch is for speed. Slow twitch is like distance running. So it's like endurance, right? So like if I'm running like 8 miles, that's slow twitch fibers because I'm going slow. I can't sprint 8 miles. I'm running a 40, that's a fast twitch fiber. So you can train those fast twitch fiber and increase the amount of fast twitch fibers you have in your body by doing explosive stuff in the gym. So like you get a box, doing a box jump, jumping as high as you can. You're exerting all out effort, which is what you do on a 40. You exert all out effort, so you're activating the same muscle fibers, right? Doing Olympic lifts, like a power clean, where you're moving weight fast and you're exerting all out effort. Those types of things will get you faster. If you do those 3 things consistently, guys, you will see your 40 improve. And again, there's a technical element to the 40-yard dash, but you will also see just your general speed and athleticism improve, which is the goal, okay? So guys, that does it for our speed conversation. Now let's answer some questions that you guys left on a previous episode. Like I said, you guys got questions, don't hesitate. Post those in the comment section below. Gonna try to answer as many of these as we can. I'll respond back to you guys, and then I'll feature the best ones on an episode of our show. So guys, appreciate the support. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's get to it. So from barbecue Nuggets, all right. I'm in 8th grade. I want to play running back. I'm about 5'4" and 115. I want to start getting ready for my first year of tackle. I did flag for 2 years. How or what should I be doing to reach my goal of hitting 125 by 2026? Also, what drills should I be doing if my first tackle year What would be a healthy weight proportion? Like about 5'4", 115. What would be a healthy weight at 5'6", 5'7"? Yeah, man, so to help you get to 125, which I think is a healthy weight for you, I would recommend, like, you know, consuming, so like you're 115 pounds, want to get to 125, consume 125 grams of protein a day. That's important. Protein consumption is important because it will tie into my second point, lifting in the gym and lifting in like an 8 to 12 rep range, because that's the best rep range for muscle growth. There's like strength training where you're lifting in like a 1 to 5 rep range where you're trying to get stronger, but that's not necessarily going to put on weight, if you will. 8 to 12 rep range is the best rep range to go. You may have to do more so like bodybuilding type exercises like shoulder press, like curls. A lot of people say like train like an athlete, do explosive movements, etc. Yes, that's good, but if you need to gain weight, you need to do certain things to gain weight. And then being in a calorie surplus, dude, figure out how many calories you're burning on a day-to-day basis. You have an Apple Watch, a Fitbit. You can buy something cheap online too that will help you track the amount of calories you burn. Look on the back of a food label. Okay, that's how many calories there are, and I want to stay in a surplus, which means I'm consuming more than what I'm burning, and you probably want to stay like 40% above that break-even point. So let's say you're burning 1,000 calories, 1,400 calories or more is good for you, okay? So that's what I recommend gaining weight. I think 125 is a good spot for you, dude. Now, from Ivan Ropez, I want to be listed as an athlete in high school. How should I split up training for wide receiver and DB? So if you play 2 positions and you want to split up training for that, I would say, like, you know, you could probably train 5 days a week, right, on the field, like doing skill training. Maybe 2 days you dedicate to receiver, 2 days you dedicate to DB, and then 1 day where you do a mixture of both. I think that's totally fair. I think that's totally fine. I think that's a good split for you to follow if you play multiple positions. Or you could mix them both in on each day if you don't want to neglect one on a specific day. So maybe you do an hour at the field, you do 30 of receiver, 30 of DB, or maybe you do a full hour of receiver, then a full hour of DB, but you just got to make sure that you get the same amount of time in for each position each week if you want to be really good at both. If you want to be better than one or the other, and one's kind of like a backup position, do more training by the hour, not necessarily day, than for that specific position, okay? So I hope that makes sense, man. Appreciate you asking that. Next question from Cam C28. Are UR athlete exposure camps legit or worth it? I received an invite to one. I'm not sure if I want to attend. So when it comes to exposure camps, the one in question that you mentioned is a complete ripoff. Don't do it. But there are other exposure camps that might be good to go to if there are college coaches in attendance. So if you go to a college camp that's deemed an exposure camp by some like off-brand company that's not directly a college, and there are no college coaches there, don't go. Because they're going to say, oh, we'll go, we'll film you, we'll send it to college coaches. Do you know how many of those college coaches get? Like, honestly, do you know how many emails they get of that crap? It goes right in their trash. Because they do their own scouting. They go to camps, they go to schools, they do their own recruiting, they have trusted sources. They're not going to rely on some camp where they weren't there, and the camp claims that some guy ran a 4.4. He's like, I didn't see it, so it doesn't matter. So don't go. If college coaches are there, you might get some benefit out of that because you could interact with them, they see you with their own eyes, and they see you perform, because that's what camps are all about. Seeing athletes with their own eyes and seeing if it lives up to film, or maybe if you're better than what your film might actually say. So that's what I would say to you when it comes to exposure camps, all right? All right, fellas, guys, that does it for this episode, but seriously, fellas, if you have questions, do not hesitate. Post those in the comment section below. We love interacting with you guys, and we feature the best ones on our show. But again, really appreciate you guys tuning in. We super enjoy these episodes where we get to, you know, do longer form stuff, talk about certain topics, and explain things to the best of our ability with you. So guys, appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you next time.